Assalamu'alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Agung Nafinchi, my register number 17-10-73-2037. So, in this video, I would like to present my proposal entitled The Analysis of Adjuncts, Disjuncts, and Conjuncts in the Text of English Newspaper. So, firstly, I would like to present about the background first. So, language is one of the tools used by humans to communicate with each other. There are two types of language. First is language that expressed through human body or directly, such as oral language and body language. In the other types of language, namely languages expressed through writing or commonly referred to as written language, such as text or discourse. Text genres divided into macro and micro. Macro is genre used to name an entire types of text, while the micro genre is a type of text that can stand alone and can also be combined into macro units. The example of macro is newspaper. In newspaper, there are a lot of linguistic things. There are an adverbial, especially adjuncts, disjuncts, and conjuncts that unique to be analyzed in some newspaper. In this research, I will only focus on Jakarta Post newspaper because Jakarta Post is newspaper that used English language in their content. Next is research questions. Based on that explanation, there are two types questions that occurs in this research. First, what are the representation of adjuncts, disjuncts, and conjuncts in automotive sports in Jakarta Post? In the second one, what are the interpretations of their representations in automotive sports in the Jakarta Post? Next is objective of the research. There are two objectives in here. First is the representations of adjuncts, disjuncts, and conjuncts in automotive sports in Jakarta Post. The second one, the interpretations of their representations in automotive sports in the Jakarta Post. Next is scope of the research. Study is conducted in analyzing the types of adverbial, such as adjuncts, conjuncts, and disjuncts, which are found in automotive sports in the Jakarta Post. In analyzing the data, the writer applies theory proposed by Greenbaum. Next is a method. The study uses the descriptive qualitative approach to answer the research questions. Next, collecting data. The data will be collecting by using or applied observational method with non-participant observation technique. Is it based on Sudaryanto? Firstly, the writer will search the newspaper from the applications. Next is the analyzing. In analyzing the data, the writer used the referential identity method by Sudaryanto. The adverbial will be analyzed by considering the context of the word. The writer will start by analyzing the data using Greenbaum's theory. Next is presenting the data. The result of analysis are presented in two ways method. The first one is formal method and the next is informal method. This is based on Sudaryanto. Next is definition of key terms. First is adjuncts. Adjuncts are adverbials that are added to a clause and go with the flow of that clause. Next is conjuncts. Conjuncts are adverbials that serve as connectors or connectors between clauses. Next is disjuncts. Disjuncts are adverbials that are added to a clause by not following the flow of the clause, so that disjuncts can be at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. Newspaper. Newspaper is a publication of a journal containing the latest news or topics and published in paper. The topic commonly contained in newspaper are politics, criminality, sports, editorial, and weather. Next is automotive sport. Automotive sports are a genre of a newspaper that is intended for male audience. Automotive and sport are also very important in a newspaper because almost all newspapers have this genre. For the Jakarta Post itself, there are usually the automotive and sport genre on the center page of the newspaper. Next is the theoretical framework. First is syntax. Syntax is a linguistic branch that deals with the structure of sentences. As for what is included in it is the part of speech, verbs, nouns, subjects to compound sentence formation structures. The next is conjunctions. Conjunctions is a word or phrase that serve to connect between two grammatical constructions of the same word, phrase or clause. There are four types of conjunctions. First is coordinate conjunctions, such as and the next one is correlative conjunctions. The example is the more or the less. Next is subordinate conjunctions. The example is when. And the last one is conjunctions at verb. The example is therefore. Next is conjuncts. Greenbaum says adverbs are conjuncts that are logical connector, generally provide a link to a preceding sentence or clause. Example, by the way. Next is disjuncts. According to Greenbaum, disjuncts provide comments on the units in which they stand. Two major types of disjuncts are distinguished. The first one is style disjuncts. For example, personally. The last one is the content disjuncts. For example, obviously. Next is adjuncts. According to Greenbaum, adjuncts are more integrated into sentence or clause structure. Four major subclasses of adverbs are as adjuncts are distinguished. First one is space, time, process, and focus. The next one is discourse or text. Discourse is the most complete and largest language in grammatical hierarchies. The sentences are related to each other and continuous in semantic relationship, and there is a cohesion and coherence. The last one is automotive sports newspaper. Automotive sports newspaper is a newspaper that is very much in every newspaper because automotive and sport is one of the favorite hobbies of the Adams. So that is my proposal. I'm sorry for all the mistakes that I made. Thanks for all attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.